Hello, once again, everyone, and welcome to the Pray for America podcast. It's another Saturday. I'm Steve D, along with Pastor Vince, and we've got a lot of things to talk about here. We're here for one primary purpose. The main reason we're here is to encourage you to pray for America. If you don't think America needs prayer, you're either deaf, dumb, or blind, or all three, because right now, America needs more prayer than you could imagine, especially if you believe in the true and honest principles upon which America was founded and upon which America has operated for its entire existence, 250 years. Is America perfect? No. Its history, is it perfect? No, it's far from it. It had lots of problems and things like that. People like to point to the issue of slavery. The founding fathers were slaveholders. Not necessarily true. And if they were, I don't think that they were wicked and evil slaveholders. Slavery was abolished in this country. You have to remember that. America abolished slavery. And, that's a good thing. And that's what people fail to recognize. Most of the countries of the world, if you look throughout history, slavery was a prominent feature. You can go back to ancient Greece. You can go back to ancient Rome. You can go back to ancient Egypt. Slavery
has always been around.
Yeah, always. Yeah, exactly. So what we're looking at in America right now, especially if you look at the Democrat Party, and Pastor, I want to get your opinions on this. The Democrat Party has turned in a very, very interesting and sour direction. It's being infiltrated by the left, the extreme left, so far to the left, that it's no longer democratic, it's no longer republic, it's no longer American, it's something totally different. There are people in this country that want to bring in a government similar to that which you have in China, Russia, maybe even a parliamentary government in England, which isn't the worst of all things, but it is certainly not what we have here in America, with our three branches of government, the executive and the legislative and the judicial. America is an incredibly intelligent and, it's a God-gifted country because of the principles upon which it was founded. I don't care what you think. As a matter of fact, if you want to let us know what you think, do so. Get on email right now. Until we have a telephone in here and we can take phone calls, we'd love you to email us. And you can do that at christiansunited50@gmail.com. christiansunited50 at gmail.com. You can certainly do it, and we hope that you will, because we would love to hear from you. Also, if you happen to be watching right now on YouTube, you can watch later on, or you can invite friends and family to watch on YouTube. You can just search for Christians United on YouTube, or you can search for the Pray for America podcast, and it'll pop up. You can see it right there on demand. Pastor, good morning to you. What are you going to talk about today on your section of the program?
All right, I'm going to talk about the Democratic Socialists of America and what they want to do in regard to changing our federal government.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you're going to speak about some of these
right now
things, but how they want to change the federal government.
Yeah. And in order to do that, they're going to have a lot of pushback. There's no doubt about it. But if you're looking right now at the radical, they call it the Democrat Socialist Agenda, or the DSA, Democrat Socialists of America. There are like 10 things on a list here. I just want to read them quickly to you. And these are the things that they want to do to America, not for America, but to it. First of all, they want to bankrupt Social Security. Reckless spending will drain the trust fund and threaten your earned benefits. As you are getting taxed on your paycheck, a lot of that's going into a Social Security fund, whereby you can, when you get to a point where you either have to or choose to retire, you'll have some income to continue on with all of your necessary needs and things like that. Another one is enacting policies for free health care for illegal aliens. And that goes along with the fact they want to have Medicare for all. Now, it sounds great on the surface when you talk about it, but if you look at the mechanism that would require that to take place, you would see a system that you'd have, like, you remember going to the DMV? The DMV has improved when you go to that to get your driver's license renewed, but you'd sit there in a mob of people, and if you were lucky enough to get a chair, you could sit there for the hour and a half, 2 hours you have to sit there before you can get into.
Sometimes more than that.
Yeah, I know. But that's what medical for all would be like.
And the thing that they, it sounds great, but somebody has to pay for that.
Of course. Okay. Where's the money going to come from? Taxpayers? Yeah, they're going to tax the living daylights out of you. This is the left-wing Democrat idea. I always say this, Pastor, we don't want to be a political podcast, but how can you avoid it? We want to pray for America. We want people to lift up America to the living God so that this country can be preserved. But man, this thing's going on.
No, because as you've already kind of mentioned,
yeah.
All right, these people,
yeah,
the DSA, want to destroy
yeah.
all the things
Sure.
upon which this country was founded.
Sure.
And so, we have to realize this is a spiritual war. It's not just a political war.
Oh, absolutely. And that's kind of why we're here. Exactly. Another one is they want to impeach President Trump. Hey, surprise, surprise, of course. I got to be honest with you. I think President Trump says and does a lot of really weird and kind of goofy things at times. But he is a patriot of this country. He's a patriot of this country upon which it was founded. He's a patriot of the Constitution. Yeah, he bends the rules a little bit to get things done. And you know why he does that? Because if he brought it to Congress, if he brought it to the Senate and the House of Representatives, nothing would get done.
It would
so
never
he tries
happen.
to get things done on his own as the courts then try to intercede and stop him. People don't recognize that aspect of Donald Trump and what he's trying to do. Is he a great, perfect man? No, he's far from a perfect man. But they want to impeach him, and they'll try. You know that. Another one, they want to abolish ICE. They want open borders, and they want criminals released into your community. I think it was the state. Was it the state of Rhode Island? What state was it?
Well, in regard to that, what
yeah.
you're talking about, they basically want to do away with police.
Yeah,
they want to defund the police.
We're getting there.
And police.
Exactly.
All right, they want to have no police department, and they want to do away with the with jails. They want to have no jail system.
That's just pure insanity. These are people who do not understand evil. They don't understand how prevalent evil is, not only in our country, but around the world. Evil has
they live in places where they have bodyguards and fences around their house, and they're protected.
And they've got a lot of money. Most of these people that do this.
Yes, they're
crap.
hypocrites.
Yeah, exactly. Abolishing ICE, open borders, criminal. ICE had apprehended 1,200 criminals. And I forget what state it was. I heard it on the news the other day. Maybe it was Rhode Island or some state. And that to me is amazing. And you just want to let those criminals run free. And oh my goodness. Yes, they want to defund the police. They want more crime in your neighborhood and community. I don't know why. They say, well, all of us are going to have guns. We're going to have to be armed so we can protect ourselves. Well, they want to take your guns too.
Yeah.
They want that too. They want you to be completely defenseless so they can control your life. This is what's happening from the left. All evil right now is coming from the left of the political spectrum. And they can argue all they want. It's the right is just wicked too. I don't think so.
Well, here's the thing. You also have to realize, all right, these, if we could call them, if there are any, and there are a few mainstream Democrats, they're going along with the agenda,
right?
Because all they care about is getting put in power,
right?
And so if they have to compromise themselves,
sure,
if they have to compromise our government, if they have to compromise anything
and lie like crazy
and lie, whatever, all right, they will do it just so that they can get in power. It's like the scribes and the Pharisees, all right, who were going to endeavor to put the Lord Jesus Christ and did, all right, have him executed and put to death by Roman government on the cross. But they would not defile themselves so they could eat the Passover.
Right.
These people are hypocrites.
Totally. Yeah. Here's another one. They want to pack the Supreme Court. That means taking the Supreme Court from its 9 justices up to 13. What they're hoping to do is to sort of pack them with left-wing, ideologues as judges to have the Supreme Court go their way.
9 is a number that's associated with the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
All right.
13 is a wickedness.
Yeah, is the number of rebellion.
Is it really? Oh my goodness. Another one, mandating taxpayer-funded abortion. They want abortion on demand. They want it to be paid for by the government. Anytime you want one, go get it. They want
transgender surgeries for whoever, whenever, however.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, what a deal that would be, huh? They want to raise your taxes. They want to reverse Trump's cuts and crush working families because that will subjugate them to a form of slavery, if you'll at least forgive me for using that expression. They want to fund child gender surgeries. They want to force you to pay for radical procedures for transgenderism on minors, children. You told me a story the other day, Pastor. Someone's creating a doll, right? That has it's a doll that they want to distribute to children that has interchangeable genital
as young as parts. 4 years of age.
Yeah, good Lord. I don't think that's going to happen. And the last thing that they want to do, at least here on this list, is that they want to rig the election laws so that they can guarantee a permanent Democrat majority forever. They will claim that the Republicans are trying to do the same thing, But if you look at all the wicked things that can happen in America and all of the wicked ideologies, you know where they're going? To the Democrat Party. They're not coming to the Republicans and saying, "Hey, we want to join your party and we want to defund the police." The Republicans aren't going to do that. Now, I got to say it again. This is the Pray for America podcast. We're saying you got to pray for this country. We're not trying to be political. But if you're going to pray for America, you got to go over the political issues and you got to look at them straight in the eye. We get our sense of morality from the Bible and the scriptures. And therefore, we're going to argue in that direction. And if you're a Christian and you're listening today, we hope you are. We'd love to hear from you. So you can get in touch with us at ChristiansUnited50@gmail.com. ChristiansUnited50@gmail.com. One of the things we want to do here, we want to create a campaign here, and we're going to push forward on this in the next few weeks, and that's Save America from Socialism. And that goes a little further than that, because if you look what's happening, the socialists are together with the more extreme communists, and somehow they've gotten together with the Muslim Brotherhood. Somehow it's affiliated. And I've got another story about that in just a minute here. So that's it. Those are the ugly truths about what the Democrats or the Democrat socialists want to do for this country. It's interesting that they put the word Democrat in front of socialist, and that's only to help sneak it in a little bit more easy and comfortably for Americans to listen to. If they just said, "Yeah, we want socialism," that sounds kind of harsh. So we'll call it Democrat socialism because it's maybe a mild form of it. To me, it's a bunch of nonsense.
Well, in reality, you see, they want everything to be run, all right, by the populace.
Yes.
All right. And not that we don't have it, we have a democratic form of government, but in actuality, it's a constitutional republic.
Yeah.
All right. And so what they want to do is the majority would rule everything.
Yeah.
And whatever the majority would vote for, that's what would happen.
Pretty much.
And so that's their plan. And they aren't, we're calling them socialists, but they are, in reality, they are communists.
Yes.
That's what they want. They want a communistic form of government.
Oh, here's another quick story for you here. A Senate hearing has put the spotlight on the Muslim Brotherhood's actions within America. A top Republican senator said the threat goes far beyond terrorism overseas, and witnesses have testified that the group is prepared to spend decades pursuing their campaign of influence right here in the United States. On Capitol Hill last Wednesday, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas said the Muslim Brotherhood is a threat right here in America. He says the Brotherhood's work in America is, quote, a grand jihad in eliminating and destroying Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers, Cruz said. The Texas Republican chaired a Senate Judiciary Subcommittee hearing last Wednesday titled Hidden in Plain Sight, Controlling the Muslim Brotherhood Network in America. The Muslim Brotherhood spawned Hamas, influenced the ideology of Al-Qaeda, and gave rise to multiple terrorist organizations, according to Cruz. The group's influence extends beyond terrorism. A report by the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy alleges the Muslim Brotherhood has spent decades building influence right here inside America. According to their findings, the group has a 100-year plan to influence U.S. institutions such as Congress, the Senate, and whatnot, which we're going to hear about in a minute. They also have a strategy to infiltrate the U.S. government, schools, and civil rights groups. They are building a network that maintains ties to foreign governments, including Qatar, which is a ridiculous way to pronounce the name of that country. And they have a shared Islamist ideological goal with extremist groups such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda.
All you have to realize is this.
Yeah.
Okay. You have the socialists or the communists in our country who want to destroy Western civilization.
Right.
And you have the Muslims who want to destroy Western civilization.
Right.
And so these two groups have united together under one banner.
Right.
All right. In order to, that's their goal.
Right.
To destroy everything this country was founded and built upon.
Pretty much. Exactly. U.S. officials have also accused the group, the Muslim Brotherhood, of using charities in America to raise money for Hamas while moving funds through underground financial networks. Interesting to note, Ted Cruz was the only senator in attendance at his hearing.
Yeah.
Democrats.
Ted Cruz, and let me say this, Ted Cruz is a saved, born again Christian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he is.
And so that's why he can stand up against these things. And as we've already said, these groups have united together, but they're both anti-God, anti-Christ, anti-Bible, and they're always anti-Israel.
And as you can imagine, all the Democrats boycotted his hearing, calling it a political creep show and accusing Republicans of unfairly targeting Muslim Americans. Well, here's the thing.
Well, he's got the facts. Okay, when you listen to what he has to say, he's got the facts.
He does. Like I say, we're not against people who just happen to be Muslim. We're not against people in general. We're not trying to be bigoted, and we're not trying to say that a whole group of people is wicked. What we're saying is that this ideology and those that are trying to bring it in are wrong, and that's the problem. It's not about hating people. It's not about, what people would like to accuse us of being. That's not the case. Well, time for one more quick story, and it's kind of related. A proposed Massachusetts bill is sparking controversy because it would create a permanent taxpayer-funded commission to solely promote and support Muslims. The controversial Massachusetts measure is entitled An Act Promoting the Civil Rights and Inclusion of American Muslims in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The proposed legislation aims to establish a state-funded commission focused on Muslim Americans. Its goals include promoting Muslim participation in public life to combat Islamophobia. The Boston Herald reports the bill would even form a commission prioritizing qualified American Muslims in Massachusetts for jobs in state government over other residents of different religious backgrounds.
Well,
that's bigotry.
Yes, but immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, I would think that if that law could get passed in the state of Massachusetts.
It can't, but exactly.
But
right.
if it could, someone would bring a lawsuit. That would go to the Supreme Court of the United States, and I cannot see how that law could stand on, and
right.
Overturned.
A fellow by the name of Dexter Van Zyl, managing editor of Focus on Western Islamism, regarding the bill. He argues the bill violates the U.S. Constitution, of course, and Article 3 of the Massachusetts Constitution as well. He says, as soon as I saw this legislation, and as soon as a whole bunch of other commentators saw this legislation, we knew immediately that this was essentially a violation of the Establishment Clause of the Constitution. He contends that the government should not grant special status to one specific religious community. He warns about the rise of Islamist movements in the West, describing the ideology as one that seeks to impose Islamic law and change discourse in secular democracies. He says, I describe Islamism as an ideology of Muslim male supremacism, he said. Van Zyl contends that Western leaders sometimes fail to confront Islamist movements due to a misplaced desire to be compassionate or avoid accusations of racism.
It's all about votes. That's all.
Well,
if they went against it, they would lose the Muslim vote.
Well, most people won't speak up because, like I said, they're afraid of somebody saying, hey, you're a racist. You are a racist. You are an Islamophobe. When things are wrong, you got to stand up for what's wrong. So, The Van Zyl concludes that while the situation in the United States is less severe than it is currently right now in Europe, it's crucial for a society to maintain the courage to openly address concerns about rising Islamist challenges. Got to bring the attention to this. And like I said, it's not that we're against people who happen to be Muslim. We're not against you as people. We're against your ideology, totally, because it's against America and it's against Western civilization. We're not going to stand still for that. We're going to stand up and speak about it.
And it's against the Bible.
Oh, that too. Yes, and that's critical. That's what I had to talk about today's newsy kind of stories here. We're glad to have you listening to the Pray for America podcast. We hope that you will get in touch with us at christiansunited50@gmail.com. And you can also watch us later on YouTube. Have people listen. We're happy to hear your disagreement. We'd love to hear what you have to say about some of these topics. We'll talk to you, until we're blue in the face. So we'll do that. Pastor, we have something special to talk about here, and that's coming from your side of the fence. What do you got?
Well, I want to continue talking about this Democratic Socialists of America.
Sure.
In regard to what they want to do in regard to changing our Constitution. And as you are well aware, this last week, in regard to these primary elections that were taking place in various states, we saw some, the most notable cases where these DSA candidates won was in Michigan, where you had an individual by the name of Abdul El Sayed. All right. He's the Democratic nominee now for the Senate from the state of Michigan. And aside from being a socialist, okay, as we've been talking about there, he is also a Muslim. And then you have another woman by the name of Francesca Hong. She's the Democratic nominee for governor in the state of Wisconsin. And, all these DSA people have absurd, ideas in regard to government and so forth and so on. And Francesca Hong believes that Thanksgiving as a holiday needs to be abolished. Because it's racist. Everything that these people, all right, are going to be against in regard to the American government and how our laws were established always has to do with a bunch of rich white guys who wanted to enslave people, and they're always racist.
Yeah,
and that
right.
can be further from the truth.
Sure.
Because either one or two things: they're stupid, or they're just corrupt and wicked. Or maybe it's a combination.
And some ignorance thrown in there for good luck.
Yeah. Well, that goes with the stupid part. Anyways.
That's right.
Okay. Now, their main objective, all right, to change America's form of government is, you've kind of already alluded to. Well, let me just say this. Let me start out. All right. Our government, all right, by definition, is referred to as a constitutional republic. A constitutional republic. Now, what does that mean? It means four particular things. Number one, we have elected leaders. Citizens vote and they choose the people who represent them, all right, in government. We don't have a king, we don't have a queen, all right, who inherit power. So we have elected leaders. Number two, we have a rule of law. The Constitution is the highest law, and it applies to both the citizens and the leaders. All right, so that is the law of the land, the Constitution. And then we have protected rights. In the Constitution, individuals and minorities have rights that are protected. They cannot be taken away by a simple majority vote. See, that's what the DSA people want to do. They want to have everything come down to a majority vote. And if the majority votes for it, then no matter what it is, that's what's going to be enforced.
Right.
And we also have divided powers. Authorities are split into different branches of government. So one group cannot become too strong. You've already alluded to this. We have three branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. And because the founding fathers of our country were, as we've talked about on numerous occasions, they were godly and they were wise. They established, all right, a government upon those principles. And the DSA wants to radically change our country and its form of government. First of all, they want to eliminate the Senate. All right. In the DSA government, there would be one elected body, all right, which would make all laws and decide and make all decisions concerning the people. And so if the majority of the populace votes for this thing, then that's what's going to happen regardless.
Right.
All right. The founding fathers in their wisdom put two legislative bodies, all right, in our government. You have Congress, all right, the House of Representatives, and you also have the Senate, all right, and naturally, the Congress, all right, the more people within a particular state, the more representatives that you have in Congress.
Sure.
But in order to give the smaller states with smaller populations an equal voice in government, the Senate was established to give all states an equal voice in making laws, with two senators representing each state. Now, at the present time, there are 435 people who make up the House of Representatives. The largest state in the Union, California, has 44 seats. And that can vary and change in each election cycle as, maybe a population like right now, people are leaving the state of California. That would give them less representation, all right, in Congress. But no matter, they have 44 seats in Congress right now. But a small state, there are some, states, well, I'll just use our own for example. In Connecticut, we have 5
Or a small state.
We have
Relative.
5 representatives in the House of, in Congress. All right. And so in total, in regard to making our laws, we have 7. You add the 2 senators. California would have 66. But the purpose was to give these smaller states an equal voice in regard to making the laws. You see, that's what the DSA, they just want whatever the populace votes for, that's it. All right. And the founding fathers were wise enough to realize, hey, yes, they should have more representation in Congress, but somewhere along the line, you have to give these smaller states an equal voice. All right. And so they want to completely do away, because you see, everything is just decided by majority vote. Another thing that they want to do is they want to get rid of the Electoral College. Presidents would simply be elected and put into office by whatever candidate won the most votes. And again, to ensure fairness in our, elections, the Congress uses the Electoral College to put a president in office. Each state has electors, which constitute its members, of Congress and the 2 senators. For instance, we just mentioned California. They have 44 members of the House in Congress. They have 2 senators. So in total, they have, in regard to the Electoral College, 46 votes.
Right.
Okay. Connecticut, we just said, has 5 members of the House of Representatives and 2 senators. So we have 7 electoral votes. On January the 6th, in a joint session of Congress, the electors cast their votes for which presidential candidate won the state. All right. And so the candidate who reaches 270 electoral votes wins the election. For instance, in our last election, Trump against Kamala Harris, he received 312 electoral votes. Harris, received 226. Now, it is possible for a candidate to win the popular vote and lose in the Electoral College, in 2016. This has only happened 5 times, I believe, in our history.
Right.
But in the 2016 election, where you had Trump against Hillary Clinton, she received more popular votes. In the election, she received 65,853,514,000 votes.
Sure.
Trump only received 62,984,828 votes in the popular vote. All right. So she won, in, let's say, the popular vote total, she beat Trump by 2,868,000 or 600,000. 2,868,600,000 votes, excuse me. All right. Now, in the Electoral College, Trump got 304 electoral votes and Hillary Clinton got 227 electoral votes.
Yeah.
You see, so it is. The reason for that is to ensure fairness in the election. Otherwise, you could have large states, let's say, are blue, or which are even could be red. All right. And they would always win the election because they would always get, for the most part,
based on population,
the most votes.
Right.
So they want to do away with the Senate because they see something wrong with the Senate. But in reality, that's why our founding fathers put, that second part of the legislative, branch of government. So to ensure fairness, and the same thing with the Electoral College, to ensure fairness.
Yeah.
Okay. But these people, they just want to think everything is decided by the majority.
Right.
Okay.
Which on the surface does not sound like a bad idea. If more people want something, should it not be that way? Or why does it, explain again why it is unfair?
Okay. It's unfair because these things were instituted to ensure an equal voice in government, by smaller states. That's why it was instituted. And that's why it's just not, that's why we don't have what we refer to as, the Democrats are referring to as, democracy. Democracy by just a majority vote does not always ensure fairness.
Right.
You see,
Sure.
and these founding fathers, they were spiritual and they were wise.
They knew.
All right. And that they understood that. Where today you just have a bunch of people that are ignorant, that really, as we said, they're ignorant of why these things were put in place, or they're just wicked and they want to do away with them. And I think it's, as we said, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
All right. They would also, the DSA would also like to do away with the presidency. All right. There would be no leader. okay, or if there was a leader, all right, like England, which has a parliamentarian form of government, the leader, the president or prime minister, whatever you would call him, would be elected by the body.
Yeah.
Okay, which makes up the, where I put in
The
their
parliamentary members.
Yes.
Is there an official word? What do they call? They don't call them senators or representatives, maybe. I don't know what they call. Are they voted in?
They are voted in.
Yeah.
Okay. So
well,
those people who were voted into that particular office would then make the decision.
yeah.
And that's what goes on in England.
Mhm.
Okay. That's what I believe also goes on in Israel.
Right.
Okay. And these people want to put America, all right, in a parliamentarian form of government
That's right.
instead of a constitutional republic.
Right.
Okay. And you can see how important, all right, the presidency is.
Mhm.
Thank God we have a man in office, President Trump, who closed the border.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you didn't have him or a man with that particular power, you know what? You'd still, and that's why Democratic Socialists of America want to do away with the president, because they just want America flooded with immigrants, whether they be law-abiding people or not.
Right.
And so they want to do away with the presidency. All right. Another thing that they want to do away with, they want to enlarge the Supreme Court. You made reference to that, from 9 members to 13 members.
Sure.
And you understand this in regard to an individual becoming a member of the Supreme Court, and they want to change it from 9, all right, to 13 members. And as we already said, 9 is a number that's associated with the Holy Spirit. There are 9, fruits that make up or 9 graces that make up the fruit of the Spirit. 13 in the Bible is the number of rebellion. So it's not strange, all right, that they would want to add 4 more there, because they're wicked. All right. And that's what they're for. They're for wickedness. And the Senate, then the president nominates an individual when there's someone has retired or someone has died to fill that vacancy on the Supreme Court. And then the Senate confirms or denies that individual. All right. They go before, the Senate. They're asked questions by the senators, and then they either confirm or deny that person the right to be a part of the Supreme Court. Now, Trump, in his first term as president, nominated and had, confirmed 3 men. All right. Well, I should say 2 men and 1 woman. All right. They were Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett. And so he nominated these. They were confirmed by the Senate, and they are all members of the Supreme Court now. All right. And when Biden was the president, he got to nominate 1 person, all right, to be a member of the Supreme Court. That was Ketanji Brown Jackson.
She's a woman, but she doesn't know what a woman is, because she couldn't define one.
Right.
If you remember that clearly.
When she was being,
oh my goodness.
All right. But that is how someone becomes a member of the Supreme Court. There's no term limitation. The DSA would like to put term limitations in regard to the Supreme Court justices. And the purpose of them, as you've already alluded to, of packing the Supreme Court is this: if the Democrats could get in power, all right, and they could add 4 additional liberal-leaning judges, all right, to the court, they would ensure that all decisions of the court would go to the left, all right, in the years to come.
Yeah.
All right. That's why, all right, even as you just mentioned this law in regard to the state of Massachusetts, which would give special privilege to Islamic people,
right,
all right, in the state, that would go to if they pass it, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. And because, all right, right now, all right, the majority of the Supreme Court are constitutionalists, taking and believing that the Constitution is the letter of the law.
Yeah.
All right. That thing would get struck down immediately.
Sure.
All right. But if you have a court that's packed with liberal judges, Lord knows what would happen.
Well, they go after the Constitution with a variety of amendments, at least until they could completely destroy it. Then they could bring in their sort of left-leaning socialist communist form of government. Why they want to do that, I don't know.
Because they want to do it because they are communists.
Yeah, but why are they communists? What benefit does communism give to anyone except those in power?
Well, they deceive people. One of the things that they want to do is that the DSA is for labor rights. All right.
Yeah.
And so if they could get in power, they would mandate that, they'd have to set, like the Democrats today, there'd be a living minimum wage, and there would only be a 32-hour work week. Okay. And so you'd only have to work 32 hours. You get a paycheck. Yeah. All right. They have another thing they want to do is, they believe that housing is a right. And so they would build public social housing. They'd set up a universal rent control, and they'd limit corporate investment in regard to owning property.
Yeah, it's true.
If they could take control of the government, Elon Musk would not exist anymore. They would take away all his money, and
Mhm.
there'd be no more wealthy men of that nature.
Well, that would go for George Soros too, I would
Oh,
presume.
yeah, yeah.
And he supports all this other garbage.
All right,
here.
but they get away with it. You see,
Yeah.
they want to take away the right to own property. All right, in America.
Yeah.
But this guy, El Sayed from, Michigan,
Yeah.
he has property in Dubai worth
Mm.
$250,000, $250,000. You see, they can get away with all this stuff.
Right.
All right, but for the regular American peon, they're going to control every aspect of
Yeah,
your
you
life.
bet.
In the Declaration of Independence, the Bible says we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. That means that right that cannot be changed, rights that were given us by God, rights, okay, that you can't take away from an individual. All right. And in regard to those certain inalienable rights which were given to us by our Creator, I don't think housing was one of them.
No.
I don't think universal health care was one
No.
of them. You know, all these things that they want to institute. And it's all about this. It's ultimately to control. That's what it's all about. It's to control the people and have you under the guise, all right, of believing that if the populace agrees to it, all
Yeah.
right, then it has to be put into power, but not realizing that, the populace can be duped.
And if you look at some of those governments historically, like in Russia, once they control the people, they can control them to a point where if you disagree with them, they can kill you
Yes.
and take you out.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what they want America to be like that. They want America. You agree with us or we're going to kill you. And they did that in
Oh,
Iran.
they'll take away your rights to practice your religion.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. They'll
Yeah.
take away your rights to preach the gospel.
Sure.
They'll take away all your rights.
Gun ownership, gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that sign behind us, Pastor. Pray for America. That's what
Right.
we're all about. You got to pray for this country because I think that's the only power that's going to save it.
And that's why, we have to pray, okay, for America as we've never prayed before. And we have to pray that God would not allow these people to be placed in office. God forbid that an El Sayed becomes the senator from the state of Michigan. And these people, in their ignorance, they don't realize, okay, that, well, I was in Michigan preaching a meeting this past week. And during that course of that week, they had a rally in Dearborn, Michigan, where 45,000 Muslims were in attendance.
Mhm.
All right. And there was a man there. I'm not saying he was a very wise man. I think he's a very foolish man. But he was at that rally, okay, and he was preaching publicly against Islam.
Yeah, that's
All right.
right.
They
Yes.
chased him down.
Oh, yeah.
All right. They beat him. If he had not gotten to a police officer in a police car, they would have killed him.
Mhm.
All right. But that's what they can do.
Yeah.
When our foolish president, Joe Biden, was in authority, all right, and ruling the land, all right, he was saying that the most dangerous thing in America,
gosh.
were right-wing extremists, MAGA Republicans. All right. But
White supremacists.
yeah, white supremacists. All right. But now you see these people from the left, they're the violent ones.
Yeah.
All right. They're the ones that are attacking people, killing people, and so forth and so on. But it's all a charade. It's all a sham. All right. So we have to pray that these people don't get elected in public office, that they get defeated.
Yeah.
All right. You got a
absolutely.
woman, the governor wants to do, we said, if she gets elected, Francesca Hong, do away with Thanksgiving. Of all the religions, of all the holidays. All right.
Yeah.
I think the one that people enjoy the most is Thanksgiving.
Football. And food.
No,
I'm
but
kidding.
what's it
I'm kidding.
based upon? It's
I
based
know.
upon, all right, the pilgrims.
I'm kidding,
Who
yeah.
came to, and you know what? The racist pilgrims invited the Indians because they were aided by the Indians
Yes.
in their survival to come and have a meal
Sure.
with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So much that we have talked about here today are the reasons why we're encouraging you to pray for this country. And we're asking you to actually do it, to get on your knees and lift up this country in prayer. Find a prayer group and get together. Pray for America. Get in touch with us and let us know if you're doing so. We are so glad to have you listening today.
Yeah, and can I just say this?
Yeah, please do.
Pray
Yes.
for America and pray for Israel.
Well, yeah,
Because
sure.
these people they want to destroy the nation of Israel, and they're liars.
Yeah. Well,
You
good
know,
luck in doing
they're not against the Jews. Oh no, then how come you got all this anti-Semitism and
No,
violence
that's
taking
true.
place in America? They're just against the nation of
Yeah,
Israel.
there's so much ignorance and miseducation going on in our college system right now that it's horrible. It's horrible what's going on. Like I said before, if you want to get in touch with us right here at the Pray for America podcast, the email address is right there at the bottom of your screen. If you happen to have a screen, christiansunited50@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Let us know that you're praying. Let us know if you disagree. We'd love to discuss it with you. Like I say, we're not trying to be a political podcast. We're praying for America. It's more of a spiritual issue that we're concerned about. But if you're going to talk about America, you're talking politics, you're talking issues, and there's no other way around it. Also, if you can and make a donation, and we want to thank those who have made donations this past week, you can do so right now simply by sending something via U.S. Mail, Christians United, P.O. Box 2275, Stamford, Connecticut 06906. Or go to our website, christiansunited50.com, christiansunited50.com. Right there, you will find a donate page at the top of the screen. Click the button. It'll take you in and you can make a donation. We do appreciate it. None of these donations go into our pockets. We're not, this is not a job. This is not a business. It's just it's a communication tool that we're trying to get you to pray for our country because we want to save it. We want to save it because it's being deeply and seriously infiltrated right now. We bring you no bigotry. We bring you no hatred of people. That's not what this is about. If you are a Christian, you know that Jesus welcomes everyone into his circle of friends and family. He doesn't leave anybody out, and that neither do we. We invite you to listen to the teachings of the scriptures and the gospel and get saved. Pastor, what can we tell people as we sign off here today?
Well, as we've already mentioned, we need to pray as we've never prayed before.
Amen.
We need to pray for our country. We need to pray for Israel.
Sure.
We need to pray that truth would prevail.
Yes.
All right, in our nation.
Yes.
And it would not be overtaken by these people who are wicked and ungodly.
And we also invite you to pray for your children and your grandchildren. If you have them, pray for them because the future is being left in their hands, and we want it to be a bright future, not one that some of these radicals are interested in bringing forth in our country. Thank you for watching. We will talk to you again and share this message with friends. Thanks again.